So I was playing World of Warcraft the other day, and I got this dagger called the Runed Ice Dirk, and I wanted to remake it in Blender, ZBrush, Cinema 4D, and Substance Painter. So we did the block out in Blender, and now we are starting in ZBrush. So I'm just going to walk you through my overall process with this, and my design that I wanted to follow was from that World of Warcraft dagger, and I did all my high poly details in ZBrush. So what you're looking at here is me doing a lot of extra little details and scratches and adding the spots where the glow is going to be on the dagger in ZBrush, so that I can paint some of the extra little bits in Substance Painter after. Now, I did go back and forth between Blender and ZBrush quite a bit because I made little boo-boos with my block out, and I wanted to make sure that it had the look that I wanted. So to do that, I was using a plugin called GoB. You can find it on Gumroad. After all that, I spent a lot of time on the hilt. When you think about a game, most of the time when you play a game, the handle's on the hilt, but I did go into World of Warcraft and actually like, hey, how can I actually make this hilt look a little bit more realistic and kind of match the style? My original approach was using a bunch of tubes, but it was making me angry because I was like, this isn't realistic, it doesn't look actually correct. So I took a break from working on the hilt, licked my wounds, and then added some extra little details around the metal bits so that I can rebuild some of my own creative confidence, because the first part that was on the hilt was making me a little angry. So after I did all my extra little details on the little bits, I decided to revisit the hilt. And I tried the tubes one more time, and I was like, no, this isn't going to work. So I did decide to do another method, which was creating a spiral in Cinema 4D and projecting a plane along that spiral using a sweep object. So with all of that created, I was able to get a much better shape, and that would allow me to make something that felt a little bit more realistic. Like if you were to actually wrap a hilt, it would probably be like some sort of wrap around it. Sure, there's other designs that I could have gone through, but I just wanted to do this design because I was trying to get this done within a morning on a Sunday. So I went back and forth between Cinema 4D and ZBrush to finally get the shape, and my final hilt, I did come out with a spiral that was projected in Cinema 4D, and then I used deformers in ZBrush to create that final shape. I did also try and add the final details of the hilt, like the little extra leather or cloth or weave or whatever else that you might see on that kind of weapon in ZBrush, but I ran into an issue where the subdivision for the UVs was creating some issues and stretching, and that wasn't a good look. So I decided to just bring it into Substance Painter instead and do the extra little bits in Substance Painter, the details on the hilt. Now what you're looking at here is me doing the extra little cleanup final UVs of the asset, repacking all the stuff in Blender, and then I will finally bring it into Substance Painter to do all my textures. I was doing a low poly game asset, so I cranked the roughness channel to max, so then that allowed me to really just make it feel like something you would get in like Genshin Impact or World of Warcraft, etc. Again, not being super afraid to just get in and roll up my sleeves and do some work, I actually painted in the emissive color around the little spots by hand. Sometimes it's just easier to do it that way than spend a bunch of time trying to think of something procedural. I also did paint out some of the procedural extra little artifacts because sometimes you wouldn't get metal edge wear on the inside of little pieces. So I just painted some of that stuff out in Substance Painter. Now what you're looking at here is me realizing that my super high poly version had some faceting. It looked like it was kind of flat in some spots, and that's not a good look. I wanted it to feel like a smooth, carved out thing, like something a blacksmith would do. So I went back and forth between ZBrush, Blender, and Cinema and Substance Painter so that I could get rid of some of that faceting and get that final look. I did also add some ice texture to it to make it feel a little bit more like that Runed Ice Dirk thing from World of Warcraft, but then I realized that my blade still had that faceting as well, so I went through in ZBrush and masked out all the hard edges that I didn't want to smooth, and then after I created that mask, I did a broad smooth effect across the entire dagger, so then it would look like a much smoother game asset rather than having a bunch of that faceting. And all that detail would have been projected on the normal map, and I didn't want that, so it was just a matter of going through, cleaning up extra little bits, maybe re-adding some final little details on this dagger before I finally came to my last bit of texturing and my final look with the hilt, with the blade, with the metal bits, all the procedural dirt and metal aside. We exported all of that from Substance Painter, and just to keep it easy on a Sunday morning for me, I brought it into Cinema 4D and rendered it with Redshift, and it looked like this. If you learned something from this video, let me know in the comment section down below. I had a lot of fun making this. This took me about 4 hours over the weekend. I was just kind of looking to express my creative self and practice a little bit. So if this talking head was useful and you would like to learn more about any specific things, let me know in the comment section down below. And until next time, eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight and you'll make some gains. Goodbye, my friends. Bye.